All right, let's dive in. We've got a pretty interesting deep dive today. It's all about Indian real estate, and specifically, we're going to be looking at DLF Ltd.
Right.
and their recent financial performance. You sent over a bunch of documents, press releases, investor presentations. I even see the full financial statements in here. Okay, so we're going to try to unpack all of this.
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting.
So, for anyone who maybe isn't super familiar with DLF Ltd., they are like, I don't know, kind of the giants of Indian real estate.
Yeah, they're a major player for
I
sure.
mean, almost 80 years in the business, they've developed over 352 million square feet of property, over 185 projects. They've built entire neighborhoods, office complexes, shopping malls. I mean, you name it, they've probably built it.
Yeah, and their business is split into two main branches, right?
Yeah.
You've got development where they sell residential and commercial properties, and then you've got rental where they lease out commercial and retail spaces.
That's pretty smart strategy, steady income from both sides.
Yeah, gives them a lot of stability, especially when the market fluctuates.
So let's jump into their latest financial results, shall we? This is for Q3 of fiscal year 2025.
Okay, sounds good.
So, get this. DLF just announced record-breaking new sales bookings to the tune of Rs 12,093 crore.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's not just a little bit higher than their previous best, it's way higher, significantly higher even than what they had predicted.
That's impressive. It really speaks to strong demand.
For sure, and it seems like a lot of this demand is coming from their new super luxury development in Gurugram called the Dahlias.
Right.
In its first quarter on the market, it brought in a crazy Rs 11,816 crore in sales.
Yeah, that's incredible, especially for just 3 months.
I know, insane, right? So I took a look at some of the details, and they're definitely targeting a very specific buyer here.
Oh, yeah. High end for sure.
The Dahlia sits on 17 acres, offers 420 residences, each with these huge outdoor decks, a fancy clubhouse, the whole 9 yards. But here's the real kicker. The average price for one of these residences is Rs 70 crore.
Wow, that's a statement. I think it shows there's a growing segment of ultra-wealthy individuals in India who are looking for that kind of exclusivity.
Totally. And DLF is like, we got you covered. so, okay, let's zoom out a little bit. Take a look at their overall financials for the quarter. Revenue came in at Rs 1,738 crore. That's a 6% increase compared to the same period last year.
Not bad.
Yeah, pretty solid. And their gross margin, the profit they make after subtracting the cost of actually producing and selling the properties, stayed healthy at 52%.
Okay.
Their net profit, that's what's left over after all the expenses are paid, reached a very respectable Rs 1,055 crore. But you know what I thought was really interesting?
What's that?
Their consistent cash flow generation.
Yeah, no, you're right to highlight that. It shows they're managing their operations really well.
Their operating cash surplus this quarter was Rs 1,850 crore.
That's a lot of flexibility to reinvest. New projects, expansions, maybe even acquisitions.
Exactly. Keep that in mind as we dig a little deeper here. Okay, so let's break down DLF's two main business segments, starting with development.
All right.
Their investor presentation highlights a really impressive compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of 69% in new sales bookings from fiscal year 21 to 24.
69%. That's incredible growth. They're definitely on an aggressive expansion path.
Yeah, and they're showing no signs of slowing down. In fact, they've got even more planned. New product launches worth over Rs 1 lakh crore are in the pipeline.
Wow. Where are they focusing these launches?
So, for example, get this, they're planning to launch 5.5 million square feet of new super luxury projects. Potential sales value, Rs 37,500 crore. It's like they're doubling down on the high-end market.
Makes sense, especially with the success of the Dahlias.
Right. And then you've got their rental business. This isn't just about selling properties. They've got a massive rental portfolio, over 44 million square feet of operational space.
That's a lot of real estate. And what are their goals for this part of the business?
Well, they're aiming for double-digit rental growth, and they plan to achieve that by expanding their existing properties and building new ones.
Ambitious, but they've got a good foundation.
Yeah.
What's their current occupancy rate?
Oh, it's impressive, 93%.
Wow. So most of their spaces are full, generating consistent income.
Yeah, and that's pretty impressive considering the economic uncertainties that are out there right now.
For sure, it shows they're doing something right. Businesses are willing to pay for what they offer.
Okay, before we move on, I have to point this out because it's a big deal. DLF is officially net cash positive.
Oh, that's huge.
Like they've got Rs 4,534 crore in the bank.
So more cash on hand than debt, essentially.
It's a sign of really strong financial management and gives them tons of flexibility.
Absolutely.
And this isn't just my opinion, right? They've got strong credit ratings from ICRA and CRISIL, which basically means investors see them as a low-risk investment.
It all points to a company in a very strong position.
But there's another side to DLF that I think is really interesting, and that's their commitment to sustainability.
Yeah, that's becoming increasingly important for both investors and companies.
And it seems like DLF is really walking the walk, not just hawking the talk.
Yeah, they've got some impressive achievements in this area.
They've received 40 Lady Zero Water certifications from the U.S. Green Building Council.
40.
That's the highest number awarded to any real estate developer worldwide.
That's a big deal.
It really highlights their commitment to conserving water in their buildings.
Yeah, it shows they're not just thinking about energy efficiency or using recycled materials. They're really looking at minimizing their impact across the board.
Right, like a holistic approach.
Exactly. Things like rainwater harvesting systems, water-efficient fixtures, wastewater treatment plants. It's all part of the picture.
And it's not just about water. They're also focused on energy efficiency, waste management, and creating healthier indoor environments for people.
It makes sense.
But what I find really interesting is how this focus on sustainability is actually becoming a business advantage for them.
Oh, absolutely. Tenants and investors today are much more environmentally conscious.
They want to be associated with companies that are doing the right thing.
Exactly. They're looking for buildings that are not only functional, but also sustainable and responsible.
And DLF is like, hey, we get it.
And they're positioning themselves as a leader in this space.
It makes you wonder if this is going to become the norm in Indian real estate.
Right. Or if DLF will maintain a competitive edge because of it.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. And it's not just about sustainability either. Remember those 21 Sword of Honor awards from the British Safety Council?
Oh, yeah. That's a remarkable achievement.
The highest number for any company globally in a single year.
Shows their commitment to safety.
Creating a safe working environment for their employees and contractors, it's a big deal.
Absolutely. A responsible company takes care of its people.
So DLF is ticking all the boxes. Financial performance, sustainability, safety. It's like, where do they go from here? What's next?
Well, their investor presentation does give us some clues.
Oh, like what?
Well, one thing that stands out is their strategic focus on specific geographic locations. They're already dominant in the Delhi NCR region.
Right, that's their home turf.
With something like 112 million square feet of development potential there.
But they also have significant land holdings in Chennai and the Chandigarh Tri-City area.
Right, and then there's their recent move into Mumbai.
Ah, yes. Mumbai, that's a whole other ballgame.
It is. It's a very competitive market.
Fast-paced, densely populated, sky-high real estate prices. It's like the New York City of India.
Exactly. And venturing into Mumbai is a bold move for DLF.
Shows they want to be a national player.
And they've already identified 16 million square feet of development potential in the state of Maharashtra, which includes Mumbai.
It's a calculated risk, but if their track record is anything to go by.
Right. They've been pretty good at identifying high-growth areas.
Developing projects that cater to, the aspirations of their target market.
Whether it's those ultra-luxurious residences in Gurugram or large-scale commercial spaces in Chennai.
They seem to adapt.
They do.
So their entry into Mumbai could be a game changer, not just for DLF, but for the entire Mumbai real estate market.
Potentially, yeah. It's exciting.
And speaking of game changers, remember that impressive net cash position of Rs 4,534 crore?
Oh, yeah. That gives them a lot of options.
It really does. They could expand into new markets, acquire strategic land parcels, or even invest in, cutting-edge technologies.
Like prop tech.
Exactly. Everyone's talking about prop tech these days. It's basically technology applied to the real estate industry.
Right. Streamlining processes, improving customer experiences.
Creating smarter, more sustainable buildings. It's a big deal.
DLF could really become a leader in that space.
Okay, now there's one thing we need to address, and that's debt.
Okay.
DLF has a history of carrying a lot of debt, which is not unusual in the real estate business.
It takes a lot of capital to develop properties.
Right, but what's interesting is that they've been actively working to reduce their debt burden over the past few years.
Not a good sign.
Their net debt to EBITDA ratio has been steadily declining.
For those who don't know, that ratio basically tells you how much debt a company has compared to its earnings.
So a lower ratio is better, Less risky.
Exactly, and it usually leads to better credit ratings.
Which we know DLF has, so it's all good news there.
It shows they're managing their debt responsibly.
And this prudent approach, I mean, it's good news for their long-term financial sustainability, right?
Absolutely. It frees up resources for those strategic growth initiatives.
Like expanding their portfolio and moving into new markets like Mumbai.
Exactly.
And it gives them more room to invest in things like prop tech and sustainability initiatives.
It's all connected.
It is, and this is where I think things get really exciting, you know? DLF is not just building properties, they're building a legacy.
It's a long-term vision.
But there's one piece of the puzzle we haven't explored yet, and that's their rental business. Specifically, their commercial office spaces. I mean, they have a massive presence in this segment, like their cyber city developments in Gurugram and Chennai.
Oh yeah, those are iconic.
They're like mini cities within cities, you know?
Yeah.
Everything a business could need. Restaurants, cafes, gyms, even childcare facilities.
Those are right there.
It's a one-stop shop for companies that want to create a really great work environment for their employees.
And it really aligns with what we're seeing in the workplace these days. Post-pandemic, companies have realized that they need to offer more to attract and retain top talent.
It's not just about a desk and a chair anymore.
Right. Flexibility, collaboration, amenities, it's all part of the package now.
DLF gets it.
They seem to.
Open plan layouts, co-working spaces, outdoor areas. I even saw a nap room in one of their brochures.
It's about creating a space where employees actually want to be.
Where they feel comfortable and inspired. And this shift in thinking, it's reflected in their newer developments, like DLF downtown in Gurugram and Chennai.
They're creating a whole new kind of office experience.
And it's not just office space, it's a whole work-life experience, and I think that's a powerful differentiator for them.
Especially in today's market.
And it seems to be working. Their occupancy rates are still high, even with all the economic uncertainty out there.
It's impressive. It really is.
It'll be interesting to see if they can replicate this success in Mumbai, though.
Oh, yeah. Mumbai is a different beast.
Speaking of Mumbai, let's talk about another big factor in DLF's success, their vast land bank.
Ah, yes. They've got a lot of it.
One of the largest land reserves in India, especially in the Delhi NCR region.
It's a huge advantage in a country where land is so scarce.
They can launch new projects whenever they see an opportunity. They're not constrained by land availability.
And they're not just sitting on it either. They're actively unlocking its potential.
Their investor presentation mentions a planned pipeline of 61 million square feet of new product launches.
Wow, that's massive.
All from their existing land bank.
That's a lot of future growth.
And what's interesting is that they're not just focusing on one type of project.
Right, they've got a good mix.
Super luxury residences like the Dahlias, but also more affordable housing options for the middle class.
A diverse portfolio.
Which helps to mitigate risk and ensure steady revenue streams.
Smart strategy.
Okay, now there's one big external factor we can't ignore, and that's the overall economic climate.
Right. There's a lot of uncertainty out there globally.
Inflation, rising interest rates, geopolitical instability, it can all have an impact on real estate.
It definitely can. Consumer sentiment, investment decisions, it all plays a role.
So how resilient is DLF to all of this?
That's the big question.
Well, their strong financial position with that huge cash reserve, their consistent cash flow, and their diverse portfolio, I mean, it all helps.
It does. Those are all good signs.
They've also got a strategic focus on high-growth areas with strong demand.
Like Delhi NCR.
Exactly. So while they're not immune to economic fluctuations, they're definitely better positioned than many to navigate these challenges.
I'd agree with that.
Well, there you have it, a deep dive into DLF Ltd's Q3 FY25 results.
It's been an interesting one.
Record-breaking sales, ambitious growth plans, a real commitment to sustainability and safety.
They're a company to watch for sure.
But what I find most interesting is their vision for the future of Indian real estate.
Yeah, they're not just building properties, they're shaping the way people live and work.
Exactly. And I think this deep dive has given you a good foundation to understand their current position and potential. But the story doesn't end here.
Keep an eye on them. It'll be interesting to see where they go next.
That's right. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning. Until next time.